Welcome to Career Pathways, a series developed by the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at Indiana University East. We will introduce you to professionals in our region who hold an undergraduate degree in the liberal arts. Our conversations will explore the pathways that have led them to their current professional positions. We will also learn more about the knowledge and skills they gained as undergraduates that have aided them in their professional lives.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Career Pathways. I am your host, Michael Scott, and today we have Chris Snively and Michael Swain with us today to talk with us about their career pathways. So, gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and maybe tell us your undergraduate degree that you got when you were in college.
Okay. My name's Chris Snively. I'm originally from Port Clinton, Ohio, which is up there on the lake by Cedar Point. I went to the University of Missouri St. Louis, and I have a degree in political science, a bachelor's degree from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm Michael Swain. I'm currently the director of the Purdue Polytechnic Institute here in Richmond. And my undergraduate degree is in history, and I received that from IUPUI.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of start off us and give us kind of a background on you guys. Why did you choose the major when you were in your undergrad?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I started out, I started out a little bit later in college. I went to the Army first for 4 years, and then I did some work in the telecommunications industry and things like that. But I decided to go to college. I had the GI Bill. You might as well use it. If you don't use it in 10 years, you lose it, at least when I was in. And I didn't know my major at first. I was interested in psychology and sociology. I took a cultural anthropology class. And then in my second semester of college, that's when 9/11 happened. I was on the Metrolink, the commuter train, just riding to school, and didn't find out about it until I got to school. And the situation of the way the world was at that time kind of made me really want to make a difference, and I thought I could do that through political science. So I went into political science to understand international relations and human relations in a lot of ways. So,
Okay.
yeah, that was the big impetus of it. It's
Right.
like, okay, here's my direction.
Okay. Michael, what about you?
Well, for my undergraduate, I wanted to be a history teacher. It really, I'd grown up loving history. A lot of the family vacations that we always took were to historical sites, and it just filled me with kind of a love for figuring out how all the puzzle pieces fit together, and how the world we live in now is directly affected by things that happened many years ago, and just trying to figure out why things are the way they are. When I first went to college, it was smack dab in one of the hottest parts of the Cold War, and Afghanistan had been invaded by the Soviet Union, and so things were really kicking up with that. The Iranian hostage crisis was going on. So anyway, there were all kinds of things that were happening that I could see were affecting our daily lives that had been leading up for years and years. And as I went through my degree program, one of the things I kept being told was, well, you don't want to be a teacher, because there are so many teachers out there right now, so many history teachers. And so I really kind of got away from the teaching aspect of it and concentrated on the history, thinking perhaps grad school at some point. My path wasn't direct. I started out at Ball State University as a full-time student, and finished my degree as a part-time student at IUPUI. I was working full-time in state government during the days, and going to school in the evenings to finish up my bachelor's. And yeah, history was probably the fastest route to go rather than go through all the student teaching as well.
Sure.
So I concentrated on that, and I loved it. It was a great great experience. Spent a whole semester one time just on the year 1099. that was my whole semester. Just immerse myself in that year.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What a great time to pursue a degree like that with so much happening in the world. So. Chris, you talked a little bit, kind of your in a broader sense, your plans after college. Did you have kind of a specific kind of career goal, you know, when you were kind of getting towards your junior and senior year, about this is specifically what I want to do with my career?
Well, not exactly. Like I said, I was, again, like Michael said, a lot of the different things going on in the world, you know, trying to find out where you best fit in and such. In my junior year, I started working with veterans as well as a student job, and you know, political issues facing veterans and stuff. So I started doing that my junior and senior year and kind of stuck with it for a little while after I graduated as well. But the plan was always to go on to graduate school. In the meantime, from being a political science major, I was also lucky enough to be at a little honors college, the Pierre Laclede Honors College at the University of Missouri St. Louis. They kind of, I just got an alumni magazine yesterday. They describe it as a small college within a large urban university, and that's what it really was. It was in an old seminary that used to be a seminary, so it had a real old building, and the rest are all built in the 1960s on a golf course. And there were small seminar classes like you would get in grad school where 15 people at most would sit around the table for 3 hours, and we did a whole semester just with Plato's Republic, and you know, and really got into the classics and the humanities. And that thinking, as I was working with political science, which I loved a lot, it's really focused on the moment now. When I was also a history major too. I was a double major, but I decided to drop that to a minor so I could graduate earlier. But with that study in the classics and the humanities, it made me realize that political science wasn't necessarily my thing. It's focused a little bit, like I said, on the present and also on data. You know, and you can do that in history as well, but it gets more to the human qualities of people. So I became more and more interested in history. And after working with veterans for a couple of years, I decided I'm going to apply to graduate schools now. And I applied in history at Purdue, and that's where I went for my graduate degree.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
So it's a circuitous path as well.
Yeah. I think what's great about going to college and pursuing any kind of undergraduate degree, and I mean, definitely specifically an HSS degree, is not only the knowledge that you gain from these degrees, but the skills as well. Michael, you know, with kind of the pursuit of your history degree, what kind of skills do you think you gain from that degree?
Well, absolutely. Critical thinking and analysis, data analysis are some of the things that I think I was able to take away from that. Communication skills, for sure, were some of the things. Being able to see things in a bigger picture, I think, and more long-term, and seeing everything as part of a larger process. And those are all things that somehow relate back to what, you know, the technology that we do at Purdue, and so it's just a different type of process. But there are other things that I learned as well. You know, how to manage a project and write a long-term paper. How to take something that would take a whole semester to learn just one year of history. Again, is something that I took away from that kind of gave me research skills that perhaps I didn't have. And it gave me the ability to learn. And that learning wasn't just limited to one thing. And so that's what I liked about the humanities. And what I'm really pleased about too is that where we are right now at Purdue, we've recently made the switch over from College of Technology to the Polytechnic Institute. And one of the major aspects of that Polytechnic Institute is we're starting now to blend humanities in with the technologies that we teach. And one of my favorite examples is a materials class that's being taught, not currently here, but perhaps in the future, a materials class, engineering materials that have been used to create what we have right now, but also using it as a history class as well, and talking about materials through the ages. And so it's a double credit. It'd be a history credit and an engineering credit. So those are just some of the things that we're seeing the power of being able to blend some of those humanities and social sciences in with the technologies.
Great, great. Chris, would you echo that, or would you say any other different skills?
Oh, absolutely, and echoing that, we're trying, and as an institution and other places are too, to make more well-rounded people, and that's what you really have when you can have perspective on the past. One of my mentors at Purdue would always talk about how people are, still genetically the same. Minds still work the same as they always have from our earliest ages. And when you're faced with a set of issues or problems or situations, humans react in similar ways. And if you go back and look at how people have reacted over the years, you can give a lot of insight to what's happening now and what's going to happen. And it really is those critical thinking skills that allow you to analyze problems, whether you're an engineer, whether you're whatever you become. Having that background with a little bit of humanities in gives you a lot of perspective on life. And one of the things that really makes you do, and no matter what liberal arts degree you get, you have to be able to cogently speak and write. And those are skills. When you look at what employers want nowadays, it's not necessarily just the technical skills. They want, expertise in certain areas, but they want people who are good communicators. They want people who can lay out a problem so it can be solved. And you learn a lot of that in the liberal arts and all of the fields of liberal arts.
Yeah, yeah. I really feel like we train our students to be universal and holistic in whatever degree that they pursue, and your guys' story is a reflection of that, of where you've ended up.
I'll echo what Chris said, though. What's the good of having all these great engineering ideas if you can't effectively communicate them? So, that's one of the things that I always talk with our students about, because sometimes they'll say, I'm not comfortable with public speaking. Well, okay, but you've got all these great ideas. You have to be able to effectively convey those to other people so they understand them. So.
Great, great. How do you think, students with, or just professionals with a background in liberal arts can contribute to growth and development and be creative and innovative? That's a pretty broad question, so if you need time to think about it.
Well, one of the things I see are just all the ways that I'm involved in different places around the community right now, and Chris as well, and actually everybody on this campus is probably not limited to just this campus. They're involved, whether they're at Ivy Tech or IU East or Purdue, they're involved in community committees and things like that, and it broadens your social responsibility and your social senses as well, and bringing in that humanities and social science knowledge to those places absolutely is something that helps the community as well. How to promote the city better, how to take care of some of the social problems we have, how to make technology more accessible to members of the community are all committees that we sit on. So.
Yeah, I would like to say that too. We're lucky to be in a small community with a lot of knowledge. Having the universities here, us and Earlham as well, and Ivy Tech and IU East is a real benefit for a town that's the size of 36,000 or so people. In a lot of bigger places, the universities are focused on themselves because they're the biggest entity in town, or they're one of the most powerful entities in town. I don't know if that's the way to say it, but and here, it's a group effort. It's a group effort between the community and the learning communities, and it's really nice to be a part of that. That innovation that Mike's talking about, where you can mix the knowledge that our students have, who have come here for a lot of different reasons and like this area, this region, and want to make a difference in it. And it's really nice to, through our technical knowledge that we're teaching them, as well as making them well-rounded people with different perspectives on the liberal arts. It's really nice.
Yeah, I definitely agree that we have a great opportunity when we're speaking with our students that it's okay that you don't have a direct career path with their major, and that it's okay to go a different directions with what you want to pursue, what your passion is, kind of where your strengths lie in, and it's gaining those knowledge and skills from your undergraduate degree, and you know, being a liberal arts student, you can be an effective member in society. So when you have the opportunity to speak with a student that's pursuing a humanities or a liberal arts major, what advice would you give them?
Well, we don't get so many people that are pursuing that as a major, but there are electives that they need to take, and I try to steer them towards electives that will make them well-rounded. You know, I favor history a little bit and political science because that's my way. That's what I learned. So I tell them the benefits they can get from being able to write better, to know how people have reacted in the past. The history of technology, I wish we had more courses in that here, because that's one of the things that really drives innovation as well, to see how things have progressed over the years, from, you know, our most rudimentary tools to solving better problems. And if you know how people solved problems in the past, the Teslas, the Einsteins, etc., you can be that kind of innovator, because they were able to see problems that the world had and overcome them. But you can't do that if you can't see the problem and can't see what needs to be fixed. And I think with the historical perspective, with other humanities perspective, one of the neat things is almost every major at the Polytechnic Institute with Purdue here has to take psychology. And one of the reasons we do that is you have to know how people think and how people react. It helps you with communication with people. Our computer graphics students, for instance, it really benefits them because they're going to be talking to a client at some point. And you have to understand what a client's getting at. You know, you have to understand what they really want, and understanding psychology allows them to understand the problems and things that are going on in their mind, and how to help them and fix it and move it on to what they need. So it's really nice adding those well-rounded parts to the technical degrees we offer.
Great.
I guess my advice to a liberal arts major would be, you know, be patient, for one thing. You know, when I graduated with my history degree, nobody came knocking at my door saying, you know, please, we need somebody who can tell us who Theodore Roosevelt's Secretary of State was. We need that person now. Just be patient. It opens doors for you. And that's one of the things that I found, was it opened a door for me that led me to the position I'm in now, where I was able to get in with an organization and work my way through it. Even though my major wasn't related, or my graduate degree, either one actually, were related to what we do here. Through the knowledge I gained on the job, I was able to work my way up into a higher position there. But you know, think about the long term. If you're going to be doing liberal arts, one of the things that I always assumed was I would be going to graduate school if I got a liberal arts or humanities or social science degree. I originally thought law school. And I was even accepted at law school, and then sat in on a law class and decided, you know what, I'm not sure I really want to practice law. I just like the idea of being called a lawyer. So that didn't go very far. But then I went after another graduate degree, and so that's another thing that it does, is it really prepares you, I think, to go a lot of directions if you want to further your education in graduate fields. And it doesn't always have to be in the same field that you got your bachelor's degree in. You can go in a completely different direction, which is what I did. So.
Sure. Say that you're an employer and you're hiring a new employee. How would you say a humanities major or a liberal arts major has a little bit more advantage compared to someone else?
Well, I hired one. So, yeah, I think that, again, it's one of the things that we were looking for is Chris is our student services coordinator. We have two who work as advisors, and they work as the people who go out and they're the contact with the community. They're the face of Purdue within the high schools that go out and do the recruiting for Purdue here. And so all those liberal arts skills are just key to I think a lot of the things that position requires, and also just the experience of being in school for a while and knowing what it looks like to follow a degree plan and to be able to advise toward financial aid and things like that. So those were qualities that we were looking for the position that Chris holds, and actually that's the position that I came in with when I first started there as well. So.
And one of the nice things about the liberal arts, especially when you get to go to grad school, a lot of the fields are processing you to become a teacher or a professor in a lot of ways, so you get a lot of opportunities to teach. So you're standing up there in front of audiences a lot. And I was lucky enough to teach German for a while, where it's your class, you know, and history classes and such. So you get that experience being on stage, talking with people, and giving presentations. That is, you know, some fields you have to do it a little bit, but in the liberal arts you have to do it a lot. You're always giving reports. You're always standing up there in front of the class. And that prepares you in so many ways. By the time you actually get to a place where a job or a career path is dependent upon your ability to speak and articulate things, you've had so much training that it's almost second nature, you know, from the liberal arts, from a speech class all the way up to graduate school, if that's where you go. So, a lot of preparation that you don't even realize it's preparation while it's going on, but by the time you get to where you want to be, you're ready.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you know, one of the main goals we have for our humanities and liberal arts students is just to give them confidence, you know, in their degree, and that, you know, and also give them comfort that, you know, it's okay that you don't become a history, you know, professor, or, you know, in the career of political science, you know, and that your career path is open to whatever you want to pursue. So, well, that's all the time we have for today. But thank you, Chris and Michael, for coming in today, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Career Pathways.